Would you pray with me, please? Oh God, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of all of our hearts, no matter where we are, be pleasing and acceptable to you this day, for you are truly our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. I welcome you again to this space of conversation. You will see in these last couple of weeks people sitting in these chairs, not me sitting with them for any length of time just because of social distancing, but for the thankfulness of people offering their stories, whether I'm reading them or they are sharing with you in person. It's such a blessing to hear how many have had God holding their life. And so we look today at this Psalm 62. Just a few verses of it, but I'm going to begin at the end. God has spoken one thing, or make it two things. I love that part because that's how my brain thinks. Oh, I think about one thing and I'll make it two things. God has spoken one thing, make it two things that I myself have heard. That strength belongs to God, and faithful love comes from you, my Lord. Strength and love. Oh, if we could remind ourselves, as our testimonies do, of that each and every day, each and every breath that we have, that strength of God, that love is ours. But this psalm also reminds us of some other things. And that brings me to this month of February, where we celebrate Black History Month. I spoke earlier about the music that is being prepared for us for worship during this month. I'm also reminded of the circumstances in our country with all the violence at the beginning of January and the celebration of life, though somber, at the Capitol Rotunda just this week. I watched on the news the laying in honor of Brian Sicknick, who had been an officer at the Capitol and had died because of violence. This text speaks very clearly about violence. Verse 10 says, "Don't trust in violence." I won't go beyond that. We have to, as a people, find a place, I think, where we move to something else instead of a violent response. We have an entire history of an entire people, our Black brothers and sisters, who have suffered under the hand of violence since setting foot hundreds of years ago in this country. And violence is our way, even on the news again this week, of FBI agents being shot in the line of duty, just trying to give out a warrant. 2 died, and there are 2, I understand, in very critical condition. For me, this pains my heart. Don't trust in violence. God offers us in these Psalms, God offers to us in holding our life the preciousness of it, the importance of it. And we somehow, even as a culture, have lost sight of the pain that we cause in our violent acts, whether they be through the words that we speak, the bullying, the harshness, the meanness, the anger that comes out, and then in striking, whether with a hand or a fist or a car or a gun. This loss of life due to violence is so antithetical to who our God is, who holds our life sacred. Verse 5 begins, "Oh, I must find rest in God only, because my hope comes from God. God is my rock, my salvation, my stronghold. I will not be shaken." If that is true for you, if that is true for me, I do believe that calls us to live differently in all of our actions and reactions in the world. To live instead of reaction of violence, live with these two things. That strength belongs to God and faithful love comes from God. We must not be shaken by the things around us. We are not alone. That is our promise. We must not be shaken, but sure and steadfast in this strength and in this love. And so again, right back to this text. It is simple yet so deep. Trust in God at all times. Pour out your hearts before God. God is our refuge. It is my prayer, it is my hope that we may lean more heavily than ever with that truth in our lives, so that we may live with that love in all of what we do. May you hold near to your heart the love of God, which always offers you a life in community with God and each other, built and based in love. Amen.